Seconds out. Ready to jump into it? All right. What's going on, guys? Welcome back to Pure Evil MMA. I'm your host, as always, Eve Letty, and here on the live stream, we have a very special guest joining us once again here on Pure Evil MMA. It's been almost, I think, like 2 years since we had Skelly on the show last, and he just fought this weekend for UFC's 25-year anniversary. It was obviously an honor to be on that card. So let's start there before we jump into the real meat of things. First off, how did this fight come into play? Because this was a huge card, 25-year anniversary.
Yeah, I don't know. Sean Shelby just called me up and asked me if I wanted to fight on the card, so that's about it. Yes, it's about how it usually works. They just call and ask you if you want to fight this, if you're healthy enough to fight on this time against this opponent. You say yes or no. I'm not sure that I've said no ever, but usually you just say yes.
So I guess let's just jump right into it, man. I mean, this was a really controversial loss here. Personally, I was watching it live, and I was screaming at the TV because there were a bunch of signs to me that you were still conscious in that moment. Now we've had some time to digest it. I spoke with a whole bunch of fighters about it, and the general consensus really seems like the referee kind of panicked, went in there, and called the fight off without even asking you, to show a sign that you're okay or, to do something. Now that you've had some time to digest it, where are you with this right now?
Yeah, that's how I feel about it. I feel like I know for a fact that I was still conscious. I was defending the choke. I feel like I got past the hardest part of the choke, and he was starting to relax. He realized he wasn't going to get the choke without lacing my leg. He knew that, and I knew that. So my job was to keep him from lacing my leg and relax, and his job was to lace my leg and try and finish the choke, and that wasn't going to happen. I mean, I've been there a million times, so I stand exactly where I stood when the fight was over. It's unfortunate, it's nobody's fault but the ref who was in there, but he's only human, mistake, and unfortunately he had a chance to go back and kind of, in a way, fix his mistake by watching the video and, probably calling it a no contest right then, and I feel like maybe his pride took a hold a little bit, and instead of fixing his mistake, he confirmed it. So, it is what it is. There's nothing I can do about it now, so I'm not really dwelling on it.
That's what a lot of people picked up as well. I mean, you were trying to get Paul Felder, who was sitting there and witnessed it all, right in front of his eyes. He was able to go back and kind of look at the replay, and the ref immediately was defending himself instead of trying to understand the moment and dissect it a little bit better. How would you like to have seen that situation handled? He did, step in, but what do you do in a situation like that, after a fight's called off? Because there is that big adrenaline dump, and how would you have handled that or like to see that handled in the future?
Ben Henderson came over and asked if we'd be cool with just restarting it in the position. I said, yeah. Let's do it. Let's just restart it. He was calling for a restart. My corner was calling for a restart. That would be one option. Just restarting it, maybe on your feet or maybe in the same position. Fights get restarted in the same position from other circumstances, so I don't think that's too out of the question. But one thing is, I don't think the ref that just made the call should be the one watching the video. I mean, I think there should be somebody, an outside source, a third party watching the video and making a decision whether he was right or he was wrong, or maybe even a few people, and the truck, whoever, the broadcast truck or whatever. So, I mean, I think that's kind of a mistake. But even the ref, I tried to tell him. I told him. Right when he stopped it, I knew that he made a mistake right when he stopped it. I saw it in his eyes. I saw it when we were talking to each other, and I was actually shocked when he said that they were going to call it a TKO or whatever. I mean, that doesn't even make any fucking sense, a TKO. But when he said they were going to call it a TKO, I was shocked. I mean, I was absolutely shocked. I thought that when the ref stopped it, he looked at me and he actually oh, dude, shit, sorry. I mean, I know that he knew at that point that he made a mistake, and I'm just shocked. I'm surprised that he didn't just call it a no contest. I was 100% confident that he was going to do that.
Well, like the thing to me is you immediately reacted to him pulling you off. If you were unconscious, you would kind of be a little dazed. You immediately, like with the split second that it happened, you were making eye contact with him right there, and he didn't even ask. He wasn't even like, show me a sign, show me if you're okay. Did we not see that? Did you hear him asking, or what do you remember from that moment?
No, he definitely didn't ask. He didn't say anything. I would have been able to hear him. I could hear, you know. He didn't say anything like, are you okay? Show me a sign. Keep fighting. Keep working. I mean, usually those are things that refs will say. Actually, pre-fight, he said to me, when he came back and did our rules meeting or whatever, each individual ref will come back there and talk to you about the rules. We all know the rules. We've been there a million times. So they'll kind of give you the breakdown on the state by state, what might be a little different, what might be the same. But he came back there and he said, if you don't say anything if you're caught, because if you say anything, I could mistake it for a verbal submission. And what I said to him is, well, I have a tendency to say I'm good when I'm in a submission, just so you know. And he said, well, don't do that, because I could take that as a verbal submission. I do that every time I'm caught in something. Like when I'm caught, if I can speak, I'll say I'm good. I mean, that's kind of like my go-to.
Yeah.
And he told me before the fight, he said, don't do that, because I'll take it as a verbal submission. And I thought that was weird. I thought that was a little odd. He was like, well, with the crowd and everything, I don't know, I was like, all right, well, whatever. But he didn't, he didn't ask me for anything, and he certainly didn't check. I will say, right after, when I asked him, I was like, what the fuck? What are you doing? And he was like, oh, sorry. And I was like, yeah, you should be sorry. I mean, fuck, you just stopped the fight. Like, I'm fine. And he said he knew he made a mistake at that point. What he said to me was, well, I thought I saw your eyes fluttering. That's what he said. And I was like, my eyes fluttering? I don't even know what the fuck that means. I mean, I don't know what that means. But when he went back and watched the replay, I watched the video, and I could see him over there watching the replay. When it's in super slow motion, I'm relaxed at that point. So what a lot of people are saying is, well, your arm was kind of limp. Well, yeah, I mean, I'm relaxed, and I didn't think that he was going to be coming and shaking my arm. So when you're watching it in slow motion, you're seeing a 1 second thing happen in a matter of 5 seconds or so, and he grabs my arm as he's saying, he wasn't grabbing my arm to check and see if I was conscious. That's not what he was doing. He was just grabbing my arm to stop the fight. I could hear him. So as soon as he said, he's out or whatever, and came in just to stop it, he never checked at all. And when he was watching the video after the fight, after the fact, he said, well, his arm is limp right there when I came in. Well, yeah, I was relaxed, and he didn't come in to check my arm. My arm did tense up after, he pulled us apart when I realized what happened, what was going on. But he was trying to, that's how he convinced himself that he made the right move, was that when he's watching it in super slow motion, he's seeing that my arm is limp, when realistically my arm was just relaxed, and he came in and grabbed it and shook it right away, to pull us apart. So I can see why he used. I could see that he pretty much just talked himself into thinking that he made the right decision, so he didn't have to be wrong. But like I said, he's human, and nobody wants to admit they're wrong. I don't think they should have put that on him to do so. I think that there should have been somebody else there to do that for him. I think it would have been a lot easier, because most people in that position are probably not going to say, yeah, I was wrong. I made a huge mistake in my first ever UFC fight to ref.
Now, what was Paul saying to you in those moments? Because that was really tough for him. You immediately went over him. You're trying to overturn it. And we're going to talk about, well, if you will overturn it, or if you're going to try to pursue that. But what was Paul saying to you in those moments there? And did he come up to you backstage, and did you guys talk about it afterwards?
No. I went over to him because I heard him say. So I didn't realize until after the fight, and I rewatched the video what had happened. But what had happened was he saw that ref watching on video where he said my arm was limp, and that's what he was like. I heard him when I was in the ring say his arm was limp, and that's why I went over there and I was like, rewatch the video. My arm's not limp. You're watching it in slow motion. I was relaxing. And I told him, basically, I'll give you the rundown on what happened. I know I already said it, but he caught the choke and my arm was across my body and it was making the choke tighter. So what I did was I turned to my back and I started walking my feet away from his feet to create space so I could extend my arm out towards his legs, block his hips, and then I'd be able to breathe. And then the next thing is just to, make sure that if he tries to roll it through to end in Darth's position, then I stop the roll through, which would be my left hand. I would post it on the other side of my body and basically be sprawling out with my legs and my hands, just like laying with my back on top of his chest. Him face up, me face up as well. So I got to the point where I could breathe fine, and he had already started relaxing in the choke, and then the ref came in and stopped it. Well, he saw to where the ref was explaining, like, yeah, his arm went limp. Right there. And so that's what he was seeing on the replay. He was watching the ref, watching the video. And I just came over and said, I explained to him what I just explained to you. I said, no, this is what happened. I got my arm out. I was fine. I started to relax, and then he came in and finished and stopped it. And then they went back and rewatched it. And I think they were like, yeah, you're right. So the only thing he really said to me was, after we got out of the cage, he just said to me, he's like, that's a shitty spot. It's a bad position. I can see what you're saying. I can see where you were defending correctly and you relaxed. But, that's just sorry about that. That's just a bad spot to be in. So he pretty much stayed on the fence about it. I mean, he didn't come out and say, yeah, you're right, you were completely conscious, but he was like, it sucks for you, pretty much.
Well, the thing about it is our sport is not like the NFL or the MLB where, in January it's going to start your record off nice and fresh 0-0. Every fight, every win, every loss counts very heavily. So, how do you feel right now? Would you want to go through the steps to overturn it, or where are you mentally right now with, the digest
well,
here?
Well, I mean, I text Sean Shelby, and he said that, that he would be able to keep his win bonus, that the only way that they would take it, that the UFC would have to basically go after him to get it back, and they're not going to do that. I don't think it's really, to be honest, it's probably not enough money for them to even be worried about. They're moving on, obviously. So, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and appeal, I mean, the only thing I was concerned about, really, I don't want to take money out of his pocket. I know I said that before, but that's the truth. I just don't want to take money out of somebody else's pocket. I don't think it's his fault. And, once you get that excitement of winning your first UFC fight, it sucks because you're getting paid your full check, and then to get that taken away would be, pretty terrible. So I don't want to do that. But for the sake of my record overall, I don't really care. It is what it is. A win or a loss on a piece of paper. I mean, that doesn't mean anything to me. I know what happened in the fight. Everybody watched. Everybody knows what happened in the fight. It's not that big of a deal. The thing that I do, the only thing that worries me, or the only thing that kind of upsets me, is my UFC record, because that was my 10th fight in the UFC, and that puts me at 6-4 instead of 7-3, and that's a fight that I was going to win. And believe me when I say that, I was going to win that fight. I won the first round very easily. I came out in the second round and kind of relaxed. I just, being at altitude and everything, I was like, well, I'll kind of relax here, kind of feel it out. And I don't think, to be honest with me, I think that Hail Mary throwing up a Mars off his back was his best option to win the fight. I don't think there was any way that he could win that fight. And because I had plenty of energy and I was going to come out hard in the third and just finish it up with another hard round and take it home. I mean, that. So, yeah, I'm going to peel it. Sorry.
I would too, man, because it's so weird, but at the same time, like you said, it's the guy's debut, so like you kind of feel bad about it, but you know damn well it's a selfish sport, man, and like I said, your career doesn't start back at zero, and that was just very upsetting to see, man, because I'm a big fan of you. I'm a big supporter of anyone who comes on the show. Obviously, I'm a little biased. I picked you in that fight, and it was really upsetting to see it end like that, but you also mentioned, you know, you talked to the guys higher up. As long as they kind of understand, like, you know, that was kind of a not really a fair fight in a way. It's kind of a win.
For sure. You know, I shot a message to Dana, and you know, he said basically, yeah, that guy has no business reffing in a UFC fight. You know, I shot a message to Sean and said, you know, he was like, yeah, that definitely sucks. You got fucked there with that early stoppage. So, I mean, you know, they know that it was a bad stoppage. I don't know what else to say about it. You know, they know.
So the way I want to end this interview is the change that you would like to see made is basically having them restart fights in cases like that, or have somebody higher up overturn it and be like, no, put him back in. It's not really up to the ref. There should be a group of people. That's the change that you would like to see, right?
Yeah, I do think that there needs to be a third party watching those videos, watching the replay and making a decision, not the person who just made the call. And as far as restarting the fight, you know, I don't know. Yeah, I think it might be a good option, or you know, at that point call it a no contest. But you know what sucks is if they call it a no contest, there needs to be something in the contract where you're at least making half of your win bonus. Because the way it is right now, it's you know, if a fight ends in a draw, they call a fight a no contest. You're basically only making your show bonus. You're not even making your win bonus. So you're making half your check still. I don't want that. You know, that sucks for anybody to go out there and something like that happen. A ref fuck up, that would hurt Bobby Moffitt as much as it would hurt me. For the ref to fuck up, step in, and call the fight off. You know, and call it a no contest, and neither one of us win our win bonus. I mean, fuck that.
And that's my last question to you: is what qualifications do you think refs should have to be, you know, at the highest level in mixed martial arts? Would you like to see, you know, brown belts, or what qualification should a ref have that you'd feel safer knowing that he's there to protect you?
I think a ref should be able to check their pride at the door when they're watching replays. That's what I think.
I love that way you just ended the interview. Chaz, thank you so much for joining us here on Pure Evil MMA. You know what we like to do at this point. Or last but not least, I mean, did you talk to your opponent backstage? Did you guys leave off on a good note, or did you kind of just, you know, pack your things?
Let's see. Did I talk? You know, I talked to him in the cage a little bit. He's a nice dude. I don't have anything against him. He doesn't have anything against me. You know, I'm not going to say anything bad about him. I like him. I like his camp. Those are all nice guys out there. I've been following Ben Henderson forever. My mom loves Ben Henderson. She had him sign a magazine for her. She follows him on all social media and probably comments on all of his shit. So, yeah, you know, we talked a little bit in the cage, and in I think in the green room when we were eating, we might have said hi to each other in passing, but you know, nothing big, just small chat, and hopefully we talk again in the near future, because I want that. I would like to have that rematch. You know?
Yeah, when would you like to get back in there? When can we expect you to see you back in there?
Man, to be honest, you know, I was going to start back at the gym as soon as I got home, but I decided to take this week off, and then I'll be there Monday. So I'm in shape, and I'm ready to go. Just, you know, give me a couple weeks for the weight cut. That's about it.
And obviously, the way we end the show, if there's any sponsors or any shout-outs, anything at all that I missed, the floor is now all yours, Chaz.
Yeah, man, as far as that goes, you know, just thank you to everybody that has supported me throughout my career. You know, Hard Knocks 365, these guys are the best out here. Henry Hoof, Greg Jones, Cammy, As far as the coaches go, those guys are great, and all my workout partners push me throughout the camp. This is a hard camp for me, and I just want to say thank you to all those guys. My friends and family for always supporting me. I mean, that's it.
And social media, they can find you on Instagram at Chaz Skelly, and also on Twitter. What's your Twitter? Is it just Chaz Skelly as well, right?
I always keep it original at Chaz Skelly.
You don't want to confuse anybody.
Yeah, I don't want to get too deep. Just keep it at Chaz Skelly.
Fighters, you got to take a note on that. Chaz, thank you so much. Have a great week, and we'll see you back in the octagon as soon as possible.
All right, thanks, man. Appreciate it.
God bless. Here we guys go. Guys, so happy that Chaz came back on the show. I mean, I love that guys stay humble when they come on the show early on in their careers, when they make their UFC debut or before UFC. Jose Shorty Torres being one of those people, doing the interview with me before he did it with any of the other bigger MMA journalists, even Ariel Helwani. And I personally think our interview was better than Ariel's interview. So check that out down below. Let me know what you think. Give me your honest answer. Do I suck at interviewing? Let me know. I've only been doing it since I was 7 years old on the radio. But that's beyond the point. Guys, Chaz Skelly, what an interview that was to nail here on the channel. I'm really excited. And he says he's going to appeal it. He's going to be appealing this. And I agree there. But do you want to go through that pressure? Like, I got to keep it real. Do you want to go spend that money? And it's a hassle, man. There's not many fighters that will do it. But in this case, I could see him overturning, because the question's not, was he going to be able to escape? We'll never know. The Tootsie Pop, the world may never know. That's not the case. And the whole thing with having a higher up overturn, like Dana White, if Dana White's ringside, or just somebody, anybody that can actually see, watch the replay, and make a good professional call, like Chaz did, the way he ended this interview. Chaz was like, we need refs to check their pride at the door. And that's one thing I said that night. I tweeted out, which is why I was smiling when Chaz brought it up. The ref, instead of noticing, did I make a mistake, he was defending his call, which is really hard to watch. Guys, I hope you enjoyed this interview. Let me know what you think down below here on YouTube, iTunes, Podbean. Make sure to subscribe down below if we have any new listeners. Subscribe down below. We just broke 2,000 downloads this month. We had 700 downloads this week, 1,000 downloads last week. And we still have, another week left in the month after this. So we're killing it. Let's try to hit 3K this month, guys. That would blow my mind. Give me a thumbs up on YouTube if you enjoyed this. And as always, I'm Eve Lady from Pure Evil MMA, my MMAnews.com. White knuckles till the end. Behave yourselves.